Welcome to you all. And Ken, I'm glad to see you're here tonight. I do appreciate your time. So talk to us. What have you got in mind?
Good evening, Alan. Thank you for inviting me. And I've been looking forward to this, and I've been boning up on this subject since I gave it at the forum in Atlantic City. But I woke up this morning with a terrible cough. I've been sucking on cough drops all day, and I got a half a glass of whiskey right next to me also. So just in case, I may have to pause and take care of the hack. Good evening, all. Yeah. So I want to talk about something that really affects all of us. And if I look at the screen, the ladies look a lot younger, but the guys, boy, we're all gray and
Um,
looking a little wrinkled here.
Ken, you need
And
to share your screen first.
let's share my screen.
Yeah.
Let's get this thing going here.
Yeah. There you go.
There we go.
We're in business.
So this is the presentation I gave in September at USA Canada. And many of our Lions Clubs have proud histories. Many of you have been part of this journey for years, even decades. Your dedication, your service, and your leadership have laid the foundation for everything we are today. And let me say clearly, the legacy does matter. It deserves our respect, our gratitude, and our continued recognition. At the same time, we're fortunate to have, and we want to have, new members joining our ranks. They bring energy, new perspectives, and fresh ideas. They're not here to replace what we've built, but to build upon it. But let's be honest, it's not always easy to balance change with tradition. Change can feel uncomfortable. It may even feel like a challenge in the way things have always a challenge to the way things have always been. And yet we know that in order to stay relevant, to better serve our communities, and to attract future members, we must be open to evolving together. So tonight, I want to propose a different mindset, not old versus new, not gray versus non-gray, not right versus wrong, but legacy and leadership working side by side. Let's find ways to try new ideas respectfully and listen openly. And to remember that we will all want the same thing, a strong, effective, and lasting Lions Club that makes a difference. Let's lean into our values of we serve, not just our community, but amongst ourselves. Let's continue building clubs where every Lion, no matter how long they've been here, feels valued and heard. Together, we can honor our past and shape a vibrant future. That's not a compromise. That's the Lion spirit at its best. So the irony here is that I have been experiencing the same issue in my own club, the San Bruno Lions. I've been a member for this is my 34th year. My club was chartered in 1943. We're celebrating our 83rd year. And it's not exactly trouble in paradise, but there's still a couple of members, not me included, that cannot seem to change. And they seem to constantly, lock horns with the newer members. So when I was invited to present this topic in Atlantic City, needless to say, I was anxious. And let's let Barbara in. So I wanted to create a format, not just talk to people for about an hour, but create a format where the attendees can feel like they're at their own club meeting. Because ultimately, what you want to do is you want to present this to your own club. So hopefully this is a template that you can take to your own club and do the same thing that we're going to try to do tonight. So here's a proposed agenda for that meeting you may have. And for lack of a better name, let's call it Club ABC. So we're going to open the club meeting, and I'm going to say good evening, Lions, and so glad to see you all here tonight for a very important conversation about our club, Club ABC Lions, where we've been and where we're going. This meeting is about honoring our club's proud history while exploring how we can continue to grow and serve in new and meaningful ways. Some members bring the wisdom of decades of service, others bring fresh eyes and energy. Tonight, we're not here to debate who's right. We're here to listen, learn, and grow. So our next step is to welcome you, and let's talk about our legacy, our history. So looking out to you in the audience, how many members have been Lions for, let's say, 50 years? Anyone? 40 years. All right. How about 30? Well, I'm gonna ask Lion Al. Oh, there's a hand. Someone raised their hand. Lion Roy's been a member for a while. So Al, explain to the group maybe a favorite club memory or milestone, and then continue on as to why did you originally join, and what do you believe is a strong trait for a club?
You presented three questions to me.
All right, all
Strong,
right. First of all, give me a club memory or milestone
yes.
that's dear to your heart.
The fellow, the lion that inducted me at that time was a past district governor. He went on to be international director, and he was a great influence, someone that I admired greatly for his career before he joined Lions, his career after he joined Lions. And the guy was not hesitant to push forward and make things happen. I joined the Lions Club because an old friend of mine, who I hadn't seen in a few years, and he showed up on my doorstep and invited me. He had to invite me about three or four times before I finally attended the first meeting. At that time, it was a men-only club, and what attracted me, at least initially, was the restaurant where they met for dinner served really good food. So that was an incentive for me to continue to attend. And the next thing I know, I'm getting wrapped up in it. And what makes for a good, strong club? Good, strong leadership. And I'm not talking about someone that's demanding and bullying and imposing their will, but someone who is able to actually lead people. And what's that old saying of taking a group of people to a place that they would never have gone to by themselves. I think to make a really good club, you got to have really good leaders.
Great. And so you've been on a line for a few decades. What is one tradition that you've been part of, that you brought along all these years, whether it's at a meeting or whether it's a club project or what?
The one tradition that I personally enjoy is the tail twisting, and that's because I'm always looking for something new in humor and that sort of stuff. But I've been involved in so many different projects, service projects, and fundraisers. It's hard to pin down. Probably, and because it's coming up, and because I'm growing this beard, I do Santa Claus every year, and I thoroughly enjoy the Santa Claus and working with the kids. And I hate the fake beard, so I grow this every year and then have a hairdresser color it out white and I pretend to be Santa Claus. That's for me currently, that's probably my favorite project.
Great, great. And tail twisting, I believe interesting you mentioned tail twisting, because I think every club has a different form of tail twisting, if they have tail twisting. Every club has a different way to greet and introduce the members. Myself, my club, I surprised every time when we get a new member in my club. We put $20 in a bucket every meeting. I don't believe I've seen any club put more than $1 or $5 in a bucket, but we do it. It's to introduce, it's to supplement our administration, and in addition to that, we have some strict tail twisting rules, and it's something that I mean, we can get onto in the next couple of sessions here. Is the the fines for not saying lion can, not addressing a member by calling them a lion. My club is notorious for fining members for not using the term lion, and it's getting to be a little irritating, even to this older member. And it's something that it's up to a heavy debate in my club. But yeah, there's a lot of different things, and money is an issue also. So you really can't fine for negative things. And I've seen more clubs deal with more of a happy dollar deal, where they want to brag about something, and so they'll put cash in a bucket or something.
Yep.
Anybody else, a longtime member, that wants to mention a tradition that is somewhat uncommon but is special to them, to their club? Anyone? Okay, well, let's move on.
Well, this is Roy
Go ahead.
Mills. I just wanted to say my favorite thing for working with the Clallam Bay CQ Lions Club that existed many years before I joined. I became
Is
principal
this Roy? Okay.
in Clallam Bay, and the superintendent says, "I'll come by and pick you up and you'll go to the Lions Club meeting tomorrow." I go, "Okay." And so I joined the Lions Club in Clallam Bay CQ over 30 years ago, and 39 years ago. And the first thing I got to work with was the Kids Salmon Derby, which was a way that the whole community got to respond. We live in a marine environment with a harbor, and it just was exciting to see so many people attend the Salmon Derby. And Lions back then took all kinds of chances of putting 3 or 4 kids in their boats and going out salmon fishing. But it just was a real community centrifuge thing. Everybody looked forward to it every year, and I was kind of a new guy there and got to join in on that. And then as our club continued on and I became more of a established member, I was able to make the motion for women joining the Fly Club or the Lions Club, and it died for lack of a second.
Wow.
And the next meeting, I brought a friend, and he seconded it, and there was 2 votes. And then I brought the president's mother to the next meeting, and we made the motion for another vote, and we won the vote.
The speaking
president's
of
mother was there, and when he voted, then everybody else did.
speaking of seconding motions, I second Leslie's motion. I'm willing to kick in $5 towards the purchase of a proper eye patch for Roy. And that way we could call him Pirate Roy.
I did have a pirate mask one earlier, but this is just a temporary one here because I'm not supposed to have too much light in it.
Yeah, you'd have to learn to say "arg."
Arg.
Well,
Ken,
thanks.
I wanted to make a comment about the tail twister thing and tradition. During the pandemic, we were meeting online, and I decided to become the club's tail twister because having meetings online is decidedly boring. So it became tail twister to close the meeting with something fun. The idea being that when the meeting is over and everybody goes their own way, they go with a smile on their face, and that's what they remember, is that they had a good time at the end of the meeting. And I held up for it. I'm tail twister again this year. and we do the tail twister at the end of the meeting. We don't do the fines. We don't do all that other things that are negative. We use tail twister as an uplifting thing.
I think that's great. I have experienced clubs that do the tail twisting in the end. And yes, there are more positives than there are negatives. However, it gives the tail twister an opportunity to take care of that one member that was extraordinarily obnoxious through the meeting, and so get the last laugh and get a fine out of them. How is tail twisting on? So we're going to move on. We're going to transition to the next part, which is, hearing the new voices. So any newer members or members that haven't been in the club for a long time, what's your feeling about tail twisting and any other traditions that you feel are maybe a little archaic or a little immature, or you just don't understand why your Lions Club does something like that? Chime in, anyone. Go ahead.
When I first joined 10 years ago, I within a month, I was asked to give my new member talk, and I didn't know except for maybe one or two people in the club, and did not feel comfortable talking to people about my life up in front of a whole group of people that I did not know. So now that I'm membership chair, I had changed that, and now I ask my new members to give a member talk, but they have to be with the club 6 months to a year. And so then they feel really comfortable getting up there and sharing about their life. And I give them 5 prompts to lead them, and they have 8 to 10 minutes to share. And sometimes when they talk about something really specific within their member talk, like one of the gals went on a biking excursion in Europe, I had her come back, and I call that a member talk extension. So they get to give one more talk, and we get to know a little bit more about this new member. And then people really connect. It's just an awesome way for our club to connect in a personal level, instead of just being, the chair of, commodities or the Sunshine Club. So anyway, it's a great way to connect.
Thanks, Lion Sandra. But I was curious. You're saying 6 to 8 months. So typically we give a new member, a few minutes to introduce themselves, when they're being inducted into the club.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying a more in-depth description of their life later on.
Well, the night that they're inducted, I like to have a ice cream party. So ice cream is passed out, and the new member goes around and introduces him or herself to people. So they get a free ride with them that night over ice cream. So they get an introduction to them on that first night, and make them feel real welcome, so that they'll want to come back 6 to 8 months and really share their life with our whole club.
So I want to open up. Thank you. So I want to open up to some of the not as seasoned members, but maybe members that have been in Lions for about 10 years or less. And just, why did you join? And what are the community needs that you wanted to experience? And possibly what community needs are not being addressed by your club? Anyone?
Well, Ken, I joined about 10 years ago, and maybe 11, but I was involved with the Lions 2 or 3 years before that, because my sister kept asking me to come help out for various projects. I joined because during that initial phase, before I actually became a Lion, I learned that I liked the people that are in this club. So I joined for fellowship. It's nice to have a group of people. We're all on the same page. We all have pretty much the same attitude about help and service in the community. And that just felt good.
Good. Anyone else? Anyone else join just to be social? I joined to be social. I didn't know I wasn't familiar with what my clubs did in the community. I had a friend invite me, and I came and I met people. I was a young business owner, and I joined purely to network.
Yeah.
And
Barbara.
eventually, we got involved in more, service and understanding what the goals of the club were.
Right. Barbara, go ahead.
Um, yeah, I joined the Lions about 9 years ago, and I joined for fellowship too. I was living in Vancouver, Washington with my son, and his neighbors were Lions. And they came up to the fence one day when we were out in the backyard and said, "Hey, do you want to come to a Lions meeting and see if you like it?" And I thought, well, I don't know anybody here, so I guess that's a good idea. And so I went to a couple of meetings and I really liked the people, and I decided to join. And then I participated in a bunch of service projects. And then later I moved to Federal Way and joined the club here. And now I'm secretary and service chair and all that fun stuff.
Great.
Yeah.
When did you actually take on those positions?
Well, I was asked in
So 9 years ago, and then
well, when I was
how
in
many?
the Federal Way Club, I think it was the end of 2020. I
Okay.
was asked by the then secretary if I would become the service chair, because they didn't have anybody that was like really putting in the hours and things, service hours and stuff like that into the old Lions, my Lion thing. And
So
so
about 4 years after about
Yeah.
4 years being a member.
and then about I'm thinking it was end of 2021, secretary suddenly passed away while she was on a cruise.
How dare she?
And
Yeah.
we were told that at a board meeting, and I volunteered to take over her duties. And then the club voted me in, and basically I've been the secretary ever since, and the
Great.
service chair.
Thank you.
That'll
Thanks for
work
your
out.
service.
Craig.
Anyone else want to add on to a younger member's viewpoint?
Yeah, Craig, go ahead.
I can tell
Yeah,
you.
I got kind of a history. I was actually in the 70s, or in the 70s and the 90s. I was in Rotary for about 10 years, and then then I got moved to or transferred down to Portland, Oregon. So there, a little later on, I joined Lions in Vancouver, Washington. That's where we lived, and until I retired in 2004. Then I moved to Colville, back to my hometown, Northeast Washington, and joined the Rotary, or the Lions there, and then down here in Spokane, and so I've been in 3 different clubs, moved around, seen lots of things. But the one thing that strikes me of not only Lions or Rotary, but other things I've been involved in, you got to have some fun. And now as president, I'm in the second year now. That's one thing I try to do, is make the meetings, make what we do, our projects, fun, but yet serve the community. And that's always been, for me, it's not so much being this or that, but it's basically serving the community, and serving my neighbors around me, and whatever. I think that's what's really important about in the We Serve area of the Lions, and I just enjoy it. And for new members when they come in, I try to get them involved with one of the other committees. Not headed up, but after I kind of talk to them, I kind of get an idea of what their background is, what they like to do, and get them involved in some committee. Now I started a couple of committees. One is that, as far as I'm concerned, we do a horrible job of advertising who we are. We do many community projects, and you'll see people off the street. Well, what is a Lion? What do you do? Well, as much work as we do, as much money as we spend in community and helping communities, we do a poor job, I think, of saying who we are and how we can help. And so we're switching, doing a little bit more work
to get new members into the media, social media group, because that seems to be where a lot of the younger people hang out nowadays. So we're doing that, and so that's kind of what we've got going on in our area. That was kind of my background, but yeah, Rotary got it all started. But after a while, you can't hardly afford Rotary. Good Lord, so they do a great job. They really do. I don't want to. They do a wonderful job.
Sure they do.
Yeah.
But Craig, how's that fun thing doing? How's that working out?
The fundraiser.
The fun. Because
Oh, the fun.
I
Well,
always
we
get critical because they say always got to have fun, and sometimes I'm
Well,
critical on people that
well, you know,
they don't know what fun is.
Yeah, well, you make jokes as you go along, and not joke at somebody, but along with them, and you get maybe somebody's got a joke, to present. But it's to lift the spirits, because otherwise, if you don't do something, people just sit there. I mean,
Yeah.
this is like the sixth organization I've been a president at, and I'll tell you, you just sit around and you'll see people just sitting there. And so you gotta draw them in with making it fun, and not just something you go and sit there and in our case have dinner and then leave. Well, you don't want to do that. I mean, you got to get them in, and it could be different things. So we have a tail twister. We need to do a better job there as far as I'm concerned. But and I've been to other clubs in our area. In fact, I'm going to be zone chair next year, and so I look at these other clubs that are in our zone, and we got to have fun. You got to have fun, or it gets pretty boring. I'll tell you. So we can't do that. We have to
Well,
get new members and make it fun.
I totally agree. But I think where it starts is that we don't need to be so serious, and we don't
That's right.
we don't need to be so structured.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get turned off when they start ringing the bell and everything is all so structured and serious, and turns off some of the newer members, especially
Yep.
younger
Yep.
members.
Yep, it does.
I mean,
Okay.
younger members, they don't like to sing. They don't like all this, Lions, introductions and things. They would just rather just socialize, and I think we got to loosen up on that. We got a hand race up here. Is
Yeah,
that
Go ahead, Roy.
Roy?
Yeah, this rambling around on have fun brings to call story in our club was one of our older members that had lived there in Clallam Bay, CQ, all of his life as a farmer, and he was just a very conservative, staid person. And as he went to one of the multi-district meetings, someone was throwing the pitch out about clubs are better if they have fun and tell jokes. So he took it upon himself for every meeting and was right behind the Pledge of Allegiance and Old Canada and the Star Spangled Banner, whichever ones we would sing. And then it was deferred to Emil Pearson. And he had this formally written joke out that he had written or copied or found every time in the meeting. And half the chuckle was that he was so formal and dedicated to adding humor. And the jokes were pretty funny, but mostly it was hilarious that, Emo took it such as a serious thing as doggone it, we're going to have fun in this club. And if it takes me finding a joke and bringing it every week, I'll do it. But the idea
that's called
of
dry humor.
having a designated joke guy is
Yeah.
not a bad idea. This, as corny as it sounds, after the pledge and the whole Canada, the joke guy comes on, and it does start a meeting with levity.
And I think that's very important because we're creatures of habit, and so if the next person that follows that guy, whether he's the tail twister or something, he's probably going to model what he does after his predecessor. So if the predecessor is serious and negative and things, then he feels that he's going to need to be like that also. So you don't need, and I think a new member or new officer that comes in, if you don't feel like this is fun, then take a stab at making it more fun. But what I wanted to know is of any of you members that are here, how did you feel when you joined that club? I mean, I'm sure you joined unless you were a charter club, but I'm sure you joined a club that was already established, and there was that moment, that term when that time frame where you were new, you were the new person in the room. How were you treated?
I know
Were you
Stephanie.
accepted? Were you ignored? Did you have a really good sidekick sponsor? It was helping you along, or did you just feel like maybe this wasn't right for me?
I know Stephanie Odell is itching to get in on this one.
Okay, Steph.
I kind of have a unique story. I don't know if it goes along with this question. I was going to tell it on the last question, but so why I joined, first of all, I was dating someone and he's like, I think you have some skills that would be really good for my Lions Club. And I'm like, what's a Lions Club? And he's like, oh, just come like help us with some fundraisers and projects. And so I was a volunteer, like visiting and helping at these fundraisers first. And then I started going to the meetings and I was like, oh, I could make this better, but I'm not a member. Like, I'm not going to say anything. Like, oh, I can't, why are they doing that? Like, oh, they should do it this way. But I wasn't a member. And so finally I was like, I want to have a say and I think I can help. And so I joined so that I could have a voice and that I could vote and I could help lead these projects. So, my reason for joining was so I could make a difference on how the club was being kind of run. And it was mostly fundraisers back then. Like, I don't really think they did much hands-on service. And so when I first joined, it was all just fundraisers, like serving burgers and like doing all this, hard work. And so that was, originally what I saw of like what Lions was. Um, so I
So,
forgot.
so elaborate. How did they accept that? So here's this dynamo coming into our club, and
Well,
did you force yourself? Or were you the one that always raised your hand and volunteered, and they accepted that?
well, no, there was tension at that time because
Yeah,
again, we weren't doing anything fun. We weren't doing anything like one-on-one service projects that were like, you never found your Lions moment. Trust me. It was all fundraisers and it was all hard, stressful work, burnout, hard work. And so I wouldn't say they were like, welcoming me because everything was pretty tense at the time. Doing these flipping burgers and it's hot out and it's like hard work and the health department and like the permits and like we do all this work and then the food costs and then you're like, oh, we
yeah,
made
yeah.
$70 and I'm like, are you kidding me? We just put in 700 hours and we made 70. Like it was pretty tense. So they're probably happy to have me because there was another person to share in the misery of these really intense fundraisers. But also when I joined, another thing they did is they made me membership chair right away. And so I feel like that's sort of where I found my Lions moment. I started exploring, like, what is Lions? And kind of had to figure that part out like on my own and go to the website and stuff like, oh, okay. And what does a membership chair do? And so I kind of was able to make that position like what I thought it could be. So that was kind of fun. I kind of like made my own fun with that part of it.
That's great. Well, that
Yes, and as they say, the rest is history.
yeah. Well, you can see I changed the slide to diversity and differences because I think we need to. I wanted to transition. I wanted to get a viewpoint from older members and then a viewpoint from newer members, and then sort of compare what are things that you like, what do you think things that we should do away with, or not. We don't understand why we do those, and why do we operate this fundraiser this way, and not make any money. Why aren't we making some change? Because again, we are creatures of habit. You get these members who feel that they are experts in doing that project, and they continue to do it. Their timetable each year is, this is when we have to do this, was when we have to do that. And in many respects, they don't let anyone else in. And so they take these things on, and you're pretty much beholden to what they do until they don't do it. And so I'm going to start this off because my club does an annual crab feed. And right before the pandemic, we were doing very well with our crab feed. We, in Northern California, we do all you can eat Dungeness crab, and we usually will purchase enough crab to allow people to have about two crabs each. We charge about $70 at that time, about $70. And we do raffles, we do open bar, we do entertainment, we do dancing and things. And so it's a big production. And I worked with one of the chairmen, and one of the chairmen decided that he was going to go start doing some traveling. His wife was retiring from the airlines, and so he was going to start doing traveling. And he was not going to be available to chair the crab feed. I said, fine, we'll find another chair. Well, we did find another member who was fairly new, a few years up. But this old chair didn't accept it. He said, what are you talking about? You're not going to be involved. Why don't you let him, be the chair of this event? And he just constantly complained, was contacting me and complaining to the club that this guy didn't know what he was doing, and he's not experienced. He needs to do this and needs to do that. And it was really a tough time in the club. The long story short is that this new chair chaired this event and made more money and got more people to attend the crab feed than we had in the previous few years. And that was the only thing that we were able to do to shut the other member up. And that member is still a member, but he is not involved anymore. Yeah. And it was just that, it was either we don't do the project the way he does it, or he's just going to stop. And he stopped. And then the pandemic hit, and we haven't recovered from that as far as having a crab feed. But it was a very volatile and very difficult time for our club, because it was a major fundraiser, and the true colors of these members, certain members, came out, and it you almost want to just say, please, just quit, just leave the club. Yeah. So there are things that happen. There are projects that we have. There are projects that we tend to want to keep going with our club, but then it's like pulling teeth to get members to organize them, to chair them, and to take care of them. And so at some point we have to say, is this event, is this project relevant? And then we get new members, and you have to allow those newer members to come up with ideas on possibly new types of projects and new ways to do those projects, like Stephanie would do. If we're going to make money this time, this is what we need to do. And then you have to listen. You have to listen, and you have to work together. Roy, you want to talk some more?
Well, this is a very delicate item in our club, in that we have a club that's very, very old, and I've been there for almost 40 years, and some of the guys have preceded me by a decade or even more. And we lose 80% of our new members in the first year. And that's like a couple of dozen in the last 5 or 6 years. I believe it. And generally in the exit interviews that I pursue them, and hey, you've quit coming to meetings, or oh, I heard you didn't pay your new dues, and in the conversation, it is that a couple of members that have been there for a long, long time, I mean, a very long time, and they're tall statured people that are used to being in control of meetings and having staffs and directing things. And they tend to have an idea of how things went and how they ought to go. And as you were saying, new ideas are something that don't ever get on the next agendas unless someone really is assertive and has to have someone else like myself or someone, calling for that and pushing it forward, whether it's like putting up our Christmas tree decoration lights or making wreaths or doing highway cleanups, any number of things. There's just that personality that is so historically camped and established in our club that just actually says the canned, corny, well, that's not the way we do it. Or we always start at
we've
9.
always done it that way.
Yeah, we always start at 9, or we always start at 12. And immediately it just, I work in lots of different arenas and policy groups and shared decisions and top-down organizations. And it just always makes me drop my jaw because the timing of how to engage that right in the meeting where someone rains on some new guy's parade or just out and out with no authority to really the enterprise of vetoing it by, no, we don't like that kind of thing, or we don't do that, as though they're speaking for the whole club. And rather than raising it to, well, hey, just a minute, maybe we could try that, and not being sure whether you're going to create an argument with another member. And so it's only 2 or 3 people in our club that are the primaries, that are the mentioned people in 80% of the people that leave the club in the first year. And it's just really difficult because both of them are friends of mine and I've worked with them for 30 years. And how to bring their consciousness to it, because both of them are just tall, powerful, authoritarian type folks that just can't see the light, that old regime of top-down leader male thing isn't the whole process. And it's like, if it's not their idea, it's not a very good idea. I'm able to finesse my ideas because I've been around and I'm a big guy and I can hang in there with them, but other people just get steamrolled out. And how to bring that to the fore, if anyone's had any luck with just standing nose to nose and just saying, hey, I'm going to ask you to quit this.
No.
If you don't, I'll make a comment at the time that you're doing that. You and I've had a conversation about this, and I've asked you to quit negating other people's statements when they say, hey, well, could we start at 12 because I can't do it till, no, we start at 10, and it just shuts people down and they're unable to be responsive to it. I don't know if other people have such impervious personalities in their club, but that's what it is 2 or 3 personalities, and it's really challenging. I've not left the club ever, but I was in the Everett Central Lions Club when I worked in Everett for 4 years. And so I've been in other clubs, and I go to our zone meetings and I see how other clubs turn over. And in our area, a couple of the clubs have the same 3 to 5 people that have been running them for 25, 30 years, and they're all having trouble with membership. So anyone have suggestions on?
Well, the difficulty is that you get into clubs where either the majority or the more vocal members are doing like you said, and so newer members or members that aren't as vocal tend to shy away from it and just don't want to lock horns, with those members. And so that's why we're talking about this, is because if this is an issue that a club as a whole or a majority of the club members want to deal with, the first thing you have to do is the club has to have the buy-in. And you're never going to get 100%. But if you can get a majority of those members and say, yes, let's move forward and try and discuss this. And you got to communicate, you got to be honest, you got to be transparent. and you have to have some facilitation where that, you can have, some compromise and some reasonable dialogue on how, how to make how to negotiate and get everyone, to accept something, and definitely to accept that there needs to be some change. And so, I have, it's interesting how much information there is on, not on Lions, necessarily Lions clubs, but in dealing with change and diversity in all organizations, and even in businesses. And a lot of it has to really get, it boils down to, wanting to change and wanting to discuss it, and not making drastic changes, incremental changes, small changes, things. And that's why I wanted, when we did this in Atlantic City, there were a few examples on what sort of things is your club doing that you want to do away with, and what are some things that your club's doing that, that you absolutely want to keep, that it is traditional, it's what our club does, and what are the things that we need to do to to appease our newer members, and it could be when you meet, how long you meet, the structure of your meeting, trying to, get more up to date on how to, how to deal with in a social setting, and not be more of a structured meeting, and then get into how to work together as far as newer members and older members working on projects and getting viewpoints from everyone, so that one, they can all feel like they're part of the event, part of the project, and that they're part of the success instead of being shut out.
It's the
Leslie,
intention of the members in our club that are the difficult folks for the new people to get associated with. It is their intention and their talk, but it doesn't operationalize and in their conduct. In conversations, they'll be eager to, hey, we want new members to join the club because we say, what do you want to do in the community? And we in the Lions Club can help you do that. And that's a wonderful pitch. And my consternation is that I believe Lions is such a wonderful organization and provides opportunities for social connectivity and fellowship and service that is something all of us want to be part of, and just how to arrest that and change that without making the challenging to new members, people quit and feel bad or feel rejected or pushed out or condemned in a way. That's the delicacy of how to do it. And this has been like 5 years.
Well, and it's, yeah, I mean, it's delicate, but I think it's very serious. I think where our organization really fails is in orientation, is in communicating amongst new members, and especially amongst ourselves. We get stuck in these ruts where we start doing things and we keep doing things. And as much as we complain about wanting new members, we don't let those members produce. We don't let them in. I mean, we like the numbers. We like to see members come in, and then we treat them like our Leo clubs. We treat them as laborers. We don't let them become leaders. And it's interesting because some of the excuses have been, well, they need to experience more. They need to pay their dues more or whatever. And it's like, well, what do new clubs do? What do brand new clubs do? Again, when everyone in that club is a brand new Lion, how do they make it work? We're all adults, and I think if we can, bring a new member in and give them some measure of serious duties in that project, they will flourish, and they will feel part of it. But they're not stupid. if you give them some, you do the cleanup and things, where they, where you give them some, you don't really give them a responsibility. They're not really gonna feel accepted.
Leslie,
But,
you've had your hand up for a while.
Sandra had
What-
something that she wanted to say. Let's let her go
Oh.
and then come back to me.
Go ahead.
You're muted.
Unmute, Sandra.
Okay, thank you. So when we have new members in our club, and we have 5 major fundraisers, 2 of them being our moneymaker, which is our annual garage sale. Our other one is our scholarship auction, and both of them we consider all hands on deck. So when we have new members, we invite them to come along, and a lot of the members, the new members or seasoned members, we ask them to be shadows for the position in a leadership, so that if there's somebody in leadership wants to, take a year off, or actually if they've been on it for 10 years, they want to just stop, they always have a shadow person to come in and shadow what that position entails, so that nobody is just bombarded with all this expectation and not know what to do. And our
Yeah.
shadowing has been very successful in our club. So I just
That's
want
great.
to pass that along to, if it
That's
helps somebody
great.
else in the club.
Yeah, I was thinking I would like to add that I feel myself very fortunate in that I'm a member of a rather progressive club. We look for new ideas. Case in point, I was club president, had only been a Lion for a couple of years, and I came across this opportunity to put together a beer garden for a 3-on-3 basketball tournament in town. And long story short, we made no money. In fact, we didn't even pay for costs. And it was not considered a failure. Even though we didn't make any money, we brought in 3 good members, and we learned an awful lot about doing an event like that. So it was a good thing, even though we didn't
It's
work out like we
interesting.
had planned. And that's the way the membership saw it.
I agree with that totally, because we just had a bingo night and 30 people showed up, but we considered it a success because our newest member ran the project, ran the
Yeah, there you
event.
go.
Yeah. And we actually got excited because, we failed in publicity and marketing, and we know where we have to improve on that. And we're just really anxious to do it again because we know we have all the right people in place. We have the event planned well. All we need is butts in the seats. We need people to attend, and I believe we're going to do that. But
Not only was the event not successful, Dr. Brian Scott down there even got a parking ticket.
Made friend with the police.
so when I know we're running, I don't want to go over an hour here, but and the structure of this of this session, I can you can follow it on your own, but the key here is that we need to the club needs to recognize that one, we want to be changed. We want some change. We want to honor our pride in service, the legacy of our clubs, especially if you've been a Lions Club for decades, and without losing any sight on serving the community. We still need to be committed to serving the community. And we need to make sure that every single member, whether you're a longtime member or a brand new member, understands that. And we go into it together. And unfortunately, we tend to get so wrapped up in other things where sometimes we ignore a certain club member, or we allow a certain club member to be disruptive, because that's the way Lion Bob is, and that's what we've accepted that over the years, But I got to tell you, I've had a couple of newer members, leave my club because they just can't deal with Lion Bob, and it's unfortunate because we'd have very good members, and you start looking at the fact that why won't certain people come to our club, and it's because we have a reputation, and it's something we have to deal with. It's a very difficult, serious issue. It's something that I'm having a difficult time to try and convince my club to discuss. It's gonna take a number of meetings. It's gonna take a number of short discussions, and on the same token, we have to make sure that our members understand that they are valued, and that whatever ideas that they come up with are not going to be shot down, and that even if someone makes a comment that we've done that before, we don't do that, or we don't want to do that, someone like myself or another member has to be right next to that new member and say, wait a minute, we got to try and we got to try and make this work. And you have to give them that opportunity, to plan it. And all you have to do is support them. So what I want to do is to close on this is that look at your own club. And if there are issues that we've been dealing with right now, as far as how to deal with changes, how to deal with a certain project, how to deal with leadership transition. Barbara, do you always want to be the secretary? Does the club want to change certain officers? I mean, is there something that we need to, openly discuss about possibly getting some training for when Barbara wants to, leave the position? So
I've asked at meetings, like when it comes up, like, does anybody want to run? And I know this last year, because when we have like the first reading, I asked the committee that was in charge of elections not to put my name down on because I'm the Secretary Service Chair, LCIF coordinator. And I asked him not to put my name down because I wanted somebody else to step up, because I didn't want, if somebody's interested in that, I didn't want them to back off because, oh, Barb's doing it. And then I was really upset because I put my name on there anyway when I said I wanted to wait till the very end. Then if nobody steps up, then I would do it. But yeah, I keep trying to find other people to do that. The same thing with our treasurer. And everybody's like, no, you're doing a good job. We don't want to do it. So that's kind of been a problem in our club. Very few people want to step up to the plate and do anything like that, because then it becomes more of a just volunteer position. It's now you have to look at it a little bit more like a job too, because you've taken on this responsibility, and then you have to follow through, and then that does take time. I spend a lot of time on administration things and service hours and all this stuff, sending out emails, answering stuff from the public. I probably spend 15 to 20 hours a month on just that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I don't doubt that. And you and many other, dedicated Lions and other clubs have the same dilemma. And, and we face some of our clubs where they have presidents that are going on multiple years. And we just look at them and we say, they're one president away from folding. Because what happens if that president decides he doesn't want to be president anymore? And we've had a couple of clubs in the last few years that have closed because that president left and no one wanted to step up. And so that, the district, that's when the district, should come in. Excuse me? Oh,
Go
that's
ahead.
when
You're doing fine.
that's when the district needs to come in, and before it's too late, and offer some assistance. Barbara, you yourself, along with members in your club, can your club members, and you probably look at a couple of members and say, just ask them the question. I go, you seem to, have the talent, an interest in being involved in the club, how would you consider being, a club secretary one day? We'll give you the support, we'll give you the training, and shadow, for be an assistant secretary for some time, because it's at some point you're going to be replaced, whether you're
Yeah.
going to need to be replaced or you're just going to, you're just going to say no. You're going to give the club the tough love. Yeah.
Ken, what do you
So-
think about sometimes holding a hard line? If you think somebody else should do the job, you've been doing it for 3 years and it's time to pass it on.
Well, those are
refuse-
sensitive subjects because I've
just-
had
just
to.
re- just refuse to do it again. And if
Yeah.
somebody probably will step up.
Well, the
But I've been in
communication.
that situation before. If they know I'll do it, they'll let me do it. But if I refuse to do it, somebody invariably will step up and do it.
That's true. I know, but I
Absolutely.
think like my old club, when we were at the convention this year, they told me that they didn't have a secretary anymore. It's like, oh, I wish you were still in our club because then you could be the secretary. And I don't know if they've alleviated that issue, but I'm thinking of all the work I do and the minutes and all that stuff. If there's no secretary, I mean, then that stuff's not going to get done.
As much as we want to not lose clubs, there has to come a line in the sand where you don't back up anymore. And if the president's been president for 4 years and they don't want to do it again and nobody else steps up and the club has to fold, I'm sorry, but so be it. Sometimes tough love is what you got to do.
Well, and I mean, we can talk for days about this issue. It's like, why do you not have, someone that wants to take on a president? Why do you not have someone that wants to take on other officer positions? And it's, and it's like I said, I mean, we don't orientate our members well enough. We don't provide enough training for the members. And possibly we don't do enough service in our clubs to get them to be more, more receptive to being a stronger, dedicated member of the club. So we got to look in the mirror once in a while, and we got to say, why can't we have someone come forward? And in some cases, we see some of the most successful clubs where they fill the room at every meeting. They have successful projects. It's because everyone does something. That the weight of all the responsibilities are spread, throughout the members. All hands on deck, and that everyone's doing something, and so it shows. And when the members are active, when they're relevant, and when they feel that they're getting something done and they're being successful, they want to do more. And especially if they're doing service, and especially if they're raising enough funds, to truly make a difference in the community, they want to get more involved. And then that whole cycle of seeing a successful club, those are the clubs that get new members, not just one or two, but they get groups of members every year. And they stay strong. And you can look at clubs that are struggling, and you can pinpoint why they're struggling. And if we had enough GAT members, training members, and experienced Lions to assist and mentor all of each one of our clubs, we can make a difference in every club, but we don't. And so we got to do things like this, where we have Zooms, we have a little bit of trainings and discussions, and hopefully we'll go to our clubs and we'll discuss them. But I've talked to her now for an hour, and I just want to encourage you to be open in your club. Talk to your members. Talk to those members about what sort of things they enjoy, what sort of things they don't understand why they're doing it, what turns them off about certain things, and don't make it don't make it a big deal. Just sort of say that, yeah, I hear you and everything, and I'll support any decision as far as trying to make that change. But like I said, if there's some change that needs to take place in that club, then you really need to stand up and try and get the entire club or majority of the club, to start talking about it. And that's all we got to do. And hopefully, we'll make it through years and years and years. There's something about 100-year-old clubs, 80-year-old clubs, that have survived. And like someone was saying, we've Mission 1.5 talk, clubs, 60% of clubs die within 3 years. Over 50% of our new members leave within 3 years. And we have to address that. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for having me. It's a subject that will go on, and I'm looking forward to seeing and hearing any suggestions or successes that you may come upon. But thanks again.
Thank you, Ken. We appreciate your time, and these are great thoughts, great ideas. Before we wrap up, understand what we engaged with, what we absorbed here today is great, but the people that really need to hear this are in the clubs. I've recorded this. I'm going to put it up on YouTube. In the chat is Ken's PowerPoint. If you open up the chat box and click on that file, you can download it onto your computer and use it at your clubs. And maybe we can get the word out that change is inevitable. There's an old saying that change is inevitable. You can either help chart its course or you can get run over by it.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to help chart its course. Ken,
it's a very it is a interesting subject, and it started, and I believe it was a session for the DGE and the DGE instructors. It was called diversity.
Yeah,
and there was a case study about bringing in new members and the whole success of recruiting new members into a club, only to see them leave within a few months, and asking themselves, why did they leave? And it's because they were not accepted. The bottom line is that new members were not accepted. Older members did not change, did not accept them, and it just wasn't a right fit for those members.
Yep.
So it's something that we really have to really look at each of our clubs.
Here, here.
Anyway, I'm gonna stay on for a few minutes because I want to read all these messages.
Okay, cool. Ken, I want to thank you for your time tonight. We appreciate this. And yeah, we're going to be online here for a little while so that we can do some more chatting and whatnot. Before you go, I like to quote past District Governor Sharon Sykes, "Let's go forward and do great things." Good night, folks.
Night.
Good night.
Ken, I'm going to be here for a while.
Yeah.
Al?
Yeah.
You said about how to download and I was thinking of something else when you were talking about how to download this program.
Yeah. I'll open up the chat, and inside the chat, toward the bottom of the list, is a file that I loaded in there. You click on that file name, and it will download onto your computer.
Okay.
You're so tech savvy.
I know. Tell my wife, would you? Yeah.
Al,
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out how to raise my hand, so I bet. But one of the items that I live by is recruit my replacement.
Yeah.
And I have had good success in doing that. Yeah. And that's all I need.
Are you saying that you're leaving Lions? Is that what you're saying?
Not at all. I am just moving to a new position. How's that?
Very good. There you go. Very good.
By the way, that
No,
was
and
a
that's
great
and that's a good way to put it, because
Yeah.
there's so many other things that we can be involved in,
Yep.
and
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
and too many of us are wearing more than one hat,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
we need you know, we need to spread it out, and it you know, for our own good and for the good of allowing someone else to experience it and excel it also.
Yeah. Now, Ken, one of the things that kind of interested me was, if you've got that new member, don't they have a sponsor that gives them the power of two, doesn't it?
In my club, we do, yes, you know, and you know, and we joke about it, because if that new member tends to be a little irritating at some point, we find the sponsor, we blame the sponsor and stuff. But no, we take the sponsorship very seriously, and make sure that if there is an issue, if we're not seeing a member for a while or something, that the first thing that gets asked is who's the sponsor, and so you know, see if
Yeah,
see if they can have better success in communicating.
exactly. That sponsor should have some sort of relationship going with the people that are being negative or not willing to hear the new idea. Then, they should have some knowledge of how to negotiate that new person's point of view. That's my point. That's
Yeah.
where I would like to see that.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion we don't train sponsors enough. To me, a sponsor as it's a position of responsibility, just like a club officer or a district officer. They've got certain things. Ah, they've got certain things that are expected of them in that position as sponsor.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
And
it doesn't always work out. You
Yeah.
know,
no,
the sponsor might
yeah,
just be, you know, someone that felt that it was important that this individual join the club, and maybe he's not prepared to be you know, a mentor to that new member.
Yeah.
right.
So
Yeah,
you know, someone else needs to step up,
Yep.
and
Yep. Like dual sponsors that Roy is talking about. Yeah.
yeah,
right. Right.
I
Yeah.
feel I got to take care of this cough,
Okay,
so
cool.
Okay.
I'm going to leave.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks
Thanks,
again,
Ken.
Ken.
Al, thanks so much. The rest of
Quite
you,
welcome.
thank you.
We'll have you
And
back again sometime.
well, I got the link, so I may pop in.
That'd be
Yeah.
great.
Some future sessions.
Yes.
Good
Sure.
deal.
You're always
Thank you.
welcome.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Bye bye.
Craig, were you able to get that file?
No, not yet. I'm here in the meeting. Is it the meeting chat area?
Yes, in the Zoom window, at the bottom of the Zoom window is
Oh,
a
in the Zoom
Yeah.
itself. Oh, okay.
yeah. At the
All right.
bottom is a little
Yeah.
button labeled chat.
Yeah.
Click on
All right.
that.
Because I thought it was in the other one here, so I got it. So
Okay. Yeah, in the chat, scroll down and you'll find the file PowerPoint sitting there. It's called 6.5 dealing with da 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 da.
yeah, got it.
All right, cool.
Great. All right, thanks. Yeah,
Al,
I think I'm gonna try to it's not the whole thing, because we only have an hour for the meeting. Well, we can have longer, but our problem with our club, we have a lot of blind members, and so they use paratransit. So they have to set that like several days ahead of time when they're going to be picked up, and so
Yeah.
we have to kind of hold
What-
it close to that time. But I'd like to go through. I'm going to edit and pull out the important things in here, and
What-
and probably show that.
Yeah.
what club are you with?
He's with
Spokane Shadle North.
Oh, so you have yes, your secretary, or no, your service person
That's
is
yeah,
on.
that's right. Roberta
Yeah,
Fensel.
Roberta,
Right.
right on. Yeah.
Yep. We have Roberta.
She's a member of Knights of the Blind, and
Yep.
so yes.
And
Yeah.
my wife was too. She's also blind, so and she's
Ah,
actually my wife's actually the secretary for the club. And she was the
excellent.
president. She was president the last 2 years. So I guess
Yeah,
we kind of keep it in the family, I guess. I don't know.
absolutely. Absolutely. And Al, because of the luncheon that we had Tuesday, I got a call this evening to be the speaker at Hood Canal Lions Club this coming Tuesday night.
Oh, very good. Cool.
For my vision stuff. So
Right.
I'm excited about that. Yeah.
Very good. Cool. Very good.
All right. Off we go. Thank you
Okay.
very much, Al, for putting the time into these trainings. I do enjoy them.
I'm glad you do. Thank you.
Yeah. Take care.
Thank you, Al.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night, all.